Actually, it's very difficult to talk to medical doctors about
Yes.
about live wave patches. I come from a pharmaceutical company, and anything done by the own company, your own company, people tend to not believe. When I talk to doctors, they tend to like be skeptical, like me previously, and I need to show them clinical studies. That's the evidence. That's why they always say, "Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence." Right. So,
Now, now, just so that everybody can understand, yeah, that the medical environment in Singapore is quite different because it is highly regulated, and to the point, that any doctors found, uh, any medical doctors found to be even recommending, any alternative complementary solution could be censored, could be suspended, and even struck off the roll. Yeah, so that happened before. So Singapore has a very unique regulatory environment when it comes to the medical clinical side. So that actually makes our partnership with Dr. Tim even so much sweeter, so much more valuable because it is quite rare for any uh, alternative solutions company to have the advocacy of somebody like Dr. Tim. I was introduced to Dr. Tim when Dr. Tim was the CEO of APAC Hospital. It was actually through Wendy. Wendy was one who knew Dr. Tim first. I still remember 27th of September. Yeah, that was my first meeting with Dr. Tim. Dr. Tim is unique also because there are very few medical doctors, especially in Singapore. Dr. Tim is such a wonderful person and, like I said, a very strong advocate for life wave. Dr. Tim is such an adventurous, curious, and open person with a very clear focus that he believes, that there are technologies out there that could benefit humanity. Yeah, so that is his main push, and if you look at his career track, which I think Dr. Tim is very consistent with his calling. So it's not only medical science, and he's still a practicing medical doctor, by the way, even though he has left Farrer Park Hospital. And Dr. Tim was then experimenting, and patches on himself. He saw the benefits. I think he started sharing with his family members. So the best news that I heard after that only came about 1 year, 2 months, 14, 15 months down the road, where sometime in towards the late November 2023, Dr. Tim suddenly called us to say, hey, he wants to know more about the business. After that, it's all history. Dr. Tim became very active. He has presented in our kickoff meeting in Malaysia, Singapore in 2034.
All
That's a
right.
very brief introduction. It really makes a big deal. We have
All
somebody of
right.
this stature. Okay, over to you, Dr. Ross.
All right. Thank you so much, Jonas. Well, Dr. Tim, it's all yours. Share with us. Thank you so much to attend our Zoominar today. The platform is yours.
well, very honored to be on this platform, and thank you, Dr. Roy, for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jonas, also for the kind introduction. Actually, it's very difficult to talk to medical doctors about
Yes.
about live wave patches because usually medical doctors are skeptical. So
Mm-hmm.
I started being skeptical too. When I was running Farrer Park Hospital, which is the latest private hospital in Singapore. Wendy and Jonas came to see me and said that we have this new technology. I mean, it's new to Asia, but it's been in the US since 2004.
Correct.
I said, politely, and I just listened because I was at that time suffering from stiffness and pain in my neck. That's cervical spondylosis. So it's painful. I've been suffering the pain, the stiffness for 20 over years. I've tried, being a medical doctor, I've tried all the Western medicine, the
Mm-hmm.
painkillers, physiotherapy, chiropractor. I went to the TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, for acupuncture. I've tried everything. I still felt pain and stiffness every day in my neck. So I kind of like, okay, do I have to live it all my life? And then, Wendy and Jonas came. So, they showed me the patches. They told me a little bit about the basis and history, and I was skeptical. But after a little while, I looked into the evidence base, because when you talk to medical doctors, they always tell you, show me the evidence, show me the evidence. So I looked at the clinical trials, the evidence, and I said, why not? Let's try it on myself. So that's when I tried it. I tried it for X39 and Aeon, right? X39 in the day and Aeon in the night. After 6 months, I kind of said, oh, why is there only marginal improvement in my neck? I mean, in terms of the stiffness and pain, it's improved, but it's marginal. But I look younger. So people kept telling me, how? What did you do? You look younger. I said, I'll tell you soon. And lo and behold, after 9 months, 9 months of patching X39 Aeon, all the pain in my neck and the stiffness in my neck just went away. So for my body, it took 9 months. And at the same time, my usual backache that is there on and off also went away. So I said to myself, oh, wow, okay. This is something that, this is something that I experienced for myself. I'm going to share with the people who are having, medical problems. There are many people with a lot of different medical problems, and when they come to me, all I can do is give them treatment from a Western perspective, which is okay because I'm a Western trained doctor. But because I'm open to alternative complementary approaches, I've always been looking at complementing the East and West, or something that complements the medication that's being used. Because I always tell people, I can give you Western meds, but almost all Western medicine has side effects. And for painkillers, I cannot give you all your life. You can't take painkillers all your life. Yeah. So it's me experiencing the benefits, and that's why I keep sharing. And also I must make sure that it is scientific. That's why if you look at my presentation, is photobiomodulation in regenerative wellness, a scientific frontier in light-based therapy. So for more than 30 years, I've been in public sector and the private sector in the medical practice. I was the former CEO of Gleneagles Hospital. That's a private hospital. Also board director and CEO of Park Hospital. That's another hospital, which is the latest private hospital. And also the former head of healthcare investment at Pavilion Capital, which part of Temasek. Temasek is the Singapore's state-owned investment corporation. So I was head of healthcare investment, looking at that time at all the innovation in the world to invest for the Singapore government. Some awards, you can read it for yourself. No, I'm not going to kind of like read my awards, but during COVID time, right, 2020 to 2023, yeah, because I was running Gleneagles then, and we had a lot of COVID methodology to put in place for the hospital, right? So I received the Public Service Medal from the government at that time. I wrote one book during COVID, because COVID, we're all locked down at home sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I had to be in the hospital, but a lot of people were locked down at home. I wrote The Triangulation of Success. Basically, this book triangulation of success is about management and leadership. So how I led the two different hospitals in Singapore, and what, how do you treat your staff? How do you lead your staff? How do you lead organizations? And this is actually good for leading any organization. It doesn't need to be healthcare, but leadership and management in any organization, including managing, your own groups. If you're running your own LifeWave groups, you're managing your own organization, your own groups, and this helps. Then I told myself that's the only book I'm going to write, but somehow I wrote a second book called Patching Up Wellness, Riding the Wave of Light, because I found that it's so interesting about phototherapy. So this book just came out like 2 months ago. It's about phototherapy. Because a lot of people are asking me, what is phototherapy? They don't quite understand how light helps them, or how light helps patients, or help all of us. So I wrote this book, Phototherapy and the Science Behind Phototherapy. It's easy reading. It's explaining how light and why light is important for us, human beings. And how we can enhance and harness light with LifeWave patches. And this is the book, Patching Up Wellness. Right, so the science, because when I talk to people and even lay people now, they want to know the science. So the science behind photobiomodulation and its effects on stem cells. Photobiomodulation, what does it mean? Photo is light, all right? Bio is our body, and how light modulates biochemicals in our body. So as you can see, David Smith, he says that LifeWave is unique because it's the only phototherapy product in the world, right, that uses our own body's light. Our own body has a power source, and that's the light. It's biophoton, cells emitting light from our own body. Every living organism, as long as you're living, you will emit light. So to show that living things, including humans, will emit light, you have the photodetectors that is being used to prove that we are emitting light. PubMed is a place where doctors and scientists usually go to because it is a credible area to look for publications, right? So when people say PubMed, you kind of like, okay, fine, because these are peer-reviewed journals and peer-reviewed publications by the medical community, right? So this PubMed publication says an introduction to human biophoton emission. It says that biophoton emission is the spontaneous emission of ultra-weak light coming out from all living organisms, including humans. Right. So this method provides a very powerful tool. It's non-invasive medical diagnostics of showing that we have light being emitted. So using a photodetector device. Photobiomodulation, if you look at the orange-colored organelle, that's our mitochondria, right? Mitochondria is just one. Mitochondria means many mitochondria. And near-infrared light, if you look at the top, at cellular level, because our whole body is made out of cells, right? So with near-infrared light, our mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of our cells, will produce ATP, which is the energy. Our cells need to function, and without energy, our cells will not function well, right? So mitochondria produces ATP, which is the fuel for the cells to be able to do its work in the different parts of the body, right? To put it simply. So just to give you an idea, one liver cell, our liver is an organ that detoxes a lot of toxins, right, from our body. One liver cell has 2,000 mitochondria in one cell, right? So we have hundreds and thousands of liver cells, right, each of us. So that is the amount of energy that is needed by our mitochondria to do its work. Next. Right, PubMed again, biological responses of stem cells. Right, let's bring it back to stem cells. What is a biological response of stem cells to photobiomodulation? So you look at the studies, right? Several studies has demonstrated that red to near infrared light is absorbed by the mitochondria, right, for respiratory change. Now, these findings, you will find that they suggest that PBMT is photobiomodulation therapy based regenerative medicine could be a useful tool for future advances in tissue engineering and cell therapy, because now the trend, if you look in the world, the medical trend is looking at regenerative medicine, cell therapy, medical lasers, effects of photobiomodulation on stem cells, because the only cells that will help our body regenerate are stem cells, right? For regenerative medicine. This is a paper by a Korean group of scientists. Next. So in vitro and in vivo, in vitro means in the test tube, in vivo means in our body. These clinical studies have shown that photobiomodulation can induce ADSC. ADSC is adipose tissue stem cell, which is the adipose tissue is our fats. Our fat stem cell, they can differentiate into multiple mature cells, right? Including adipocytes. Adipocytes are fat cells. Osteoblasts are our bone cells, and chondrocytes is the cartilage cells. So the research results of the bone marrow stem cell and photobiomodulation, they are widely applied to our wound healing, to fat production and bone formation in this particular research study. So more significant results you will see, it comes from the use of wavelengths, right? Wavelengths come from light in the near infrared region. Near infrared region of wavelength we cannot see, but we can use the photo detectors cameras to detect, but we cannot see with our naked eye. So this has showed remarkable results in wound healing as well as bone formation. So photobiomodulation influences ADSC's adipose tissue stem cells in wound healing through anti-apoptosis, meaning anti-cell death. Apoptosis is cell death, right? So photobiomodulation will prevent cell death and helps in wound healing. So the application of photobiomodulation is very promising combination to improve mesenchymal stem cells therapy. So if you look at stem cells, right, the global market growth of stem cells from 2020 to 2030 is exponential growth. If you look at 2026 now, it's 8 billion US in the cell therapy market, right? From 2026 to 2028, which is in 2 years' time, is climbing to 12 billion US, and 2030 you'll go to 18 billion US dollars in the stem cell market, right? 60% of this market you will see is in the US or North America. Then 20% is in Asia Pacific, 15% in Europe, and 5% in all the other countries. So what are stem cells? Right, going down to stem cells, what are they? It's the simplest unit of a living matter, right? It can be in humans, it can be in plants, it can be animals. It is the simplest unit of a living matter. So stem cells, if you look at it, it can serve as an internal repair system of our body. Our body keeps having injury, right? It's like my neck injury. I needed stem cells for regeneration, and it took me 9 months. It's not like 3 months, 6 months, but in my body, it took me 9 months, right? So stem cell will serve as an internal repair system with the potential to become another type of cell from a simple cell, so that it can become fat cells, it can become muscle cells when your muscle is injured, it can become bone cell when you fracture your bones. It's blood cells, our red blood cells, because every 120 days, our red blood cells dies. So the regeneration of red blood cells comes from stem cells every 120 days. And nervous cells, which are nerves. Previously, when I was in med school, we were taught that once you cut your nerve or once you have a stroke, your nerves are dead. It will not regrow. But, as medical science improved and when they looked at stem cells nowadays, our nerve can regrow, and people with stroke can also improve with stem cell therapy and regenerative wellness and regenerative health. Our immune cells are the ones that fight against the bacteria, viruses, and all, and of course the sex cells for reproduction. If you look at the Nobel Prize winner in 2012, Shinya Yamanaka, he was looking into stem cells. 2012 is not too long ago, right? He won a Nobel Prize by discovering that mature cells can be reprogrammed to become pluripotent cells. Pluripotent means many different types of cells, which I showed you. Muscle cells, blood cells, nerve cells, stem cells in the past. So if you look at 1980s, the scientists derived stem cells from mouse embryos. When it comes to 90s, they managed to derive human embryonic stem cells. And in the 2000s, they found a way to reprogram the adult stem cells to a broader usage, which is iPSC, induced pluripotent stem cells, which is Professor Yamanaka won the Nobel Prize. So presently now, what happens? Different types of stem cells have been discovered, and stem cells now have more uses, including healing of wounds, facilitating the spinal cord injury healing of osteoarthritis. A lot of people have osteoarthritis, right? Mainly in the knees because of degeneration. And what can I give them in the clinic? Painkillers, right? So painkillers cannot be taken forever. Painkillers can help them manage their pain and decrease inflammation, but ultimately there are a lot of side effects for painkillers. You'll get gastric or stomach erosion. You get a lot of other problems. You can have bleeding from the stomach from side effects. So patches is one of the alternative or complementary to healing of osteoarthritis. So treating inflammatory conditions. The future, as you know, is personalized medicine, meaning you personalize to your own condition, you personalize to your own needs. That's why if you look at LifeWave patches, there are 10 different patches, but it's always personalized to your medical condition or the condition that you would like to address. The ability to repair or replace damaged tissues and organs is the future. And how do you repair and replace? Stem cells, right? Can replace and repair tissues and organs. Potential is used to treat currently incurable neurological diseases because it can regenerate the nerves. Aging, all of us age, right? We want to age gracefully, and can we reverse aging? We can to a certain extent, right? Aging, you have degeneration, disability, aches and pains, which almost all of us have, whether we are young or, aging or seniors. Compromised immunity, that's why, a lot of people will catch COVID at that time because immunity is low and a slow recovery. And that's why at that time, you will see that the whole world wants to immunize or vaccinate the elderly because they have compromised immunity, right? So chronic diseases like dementia, like Parkinson's is creeping up, and that's aging. So stem cells also age. Stem cells will age together with our body and they will die eventually. But if you look at a little baby on the left, stem cell activity in a little baby is about 100%. When you reach 30 years old, your stem cell activity in your own body will drop to about 25%. When we hit 60, our stem cell activity will drop to 5% or less. So that's where X39 can help. So imagine if we could help to regenerate our cells, right? We will have fantastic results in our own life. X39 is safe and effective, right? The word got out to professional athletes. If you look at the Serena Williams, she's patching. She's the tennis player, soccer player David Beckham. He was patching. I think that position is probably EE, energy enhancer. You see Michael Phelps, the Olympic champion swimmer, he patches too. And all the other professional athletes, they patch. And basically, their competitors were complaining. Why do they have these patches and they're doing so well and they win in all these sports? So the IOC, International Olympic Council, came in, measured their blood because of doping, right? We want to make sure that they don't have doping. They measured their blood, they tested, and they found nothing, right? Because X39 is non-transdermal. No drugs, no chemical gets into the body. Right, 2024 Olympics, which is like 2 years back, the Olympic champion April Ludd, right? What she said, I'm using it and I just set another American record. And I leave the world in Sweden in 7 days. I mean, that was when she won the world record. And she's patching. If you look at the arrow, that's where she's patching. And I guess that's energy enhancer. Next, Mike Tyson. While he was training to fight, I think a couple of years back, he patches. Although he lost the fight because he was 6'15", 8 or something. And his opponent was in the 20s, late 20s. Lost the fight, but wasn't a knockout. And while training, he patches. So current stem cell therapy, there are ethical concerns, of course. There's accessibility. How do you get them? Affordability is very expensive. If you use injectable stem cells that you inject into your own body and into your bloodstream, that costs something like 50 to 70,000 US. And it lasts only about 9 to 12 months. Then you got to re-inject again, and there's another 50 to 70 US $1,000, and not many people can afford. So the effectiveness is not 100%. And results may not last forever. Next, look at Dr. Laurent Picard. He's a biochemist, and he is the one who discovered GHK-Cu. GHK stands for glycine, histidine, and lysine. These 3 amino acids put together, it's called a peptide. And so this peptide latches onto copper in our blood. So that's why you sometimes hear the word copper peptide, right? It's actually GHK copper. So in 1973, he spent 50 years, actually. He passed away like 2 years back. He spent 50 years researching into GHK-Cu and found that if he placed liver cells of an 80-year-old into the blood of a person in the 20s, right? The liver cells of the 80-year-old will start to behave like young, healthy cells. Right, so that's how he found that GHK-Cu was causing the older cells to behave like younger cells. So that's why we can reverse aging, reverse cell aging. So the power of GHK copper peptide. A publication on the left, regenerative and protective actions of the GHK copper peptide in the light of new gene data that is being found. It's a 2018 quite recent paper. So GHK-Cu, what does it do? It resets genes to a younger, healthier state. So that's why when I was patching it for like 6 months, people were telling me, it has tightened my skin. It also reversed thinning of the aged skin. And people with skin conditions, they improve, they look brighter, they improve skin firmness, the elasticity and clarity, because X39 also induces the production of collagen and elastin, right? So it reduces fine lines, the depth of wrinkles is less, improve the structure of the radiant skin, it smoothen out the rough skin. On our heel, right, when we walk, if you touch your heel, usually the skin there is pretty rough. It's so that's why people go for relieving of the rough skin and all that they go for to make the skin smooth. But I found that my rough skin on my heel became quite smooth, not so rough anymore. So actually, it does reduce the structure of aged skin and smoothen off rough skin. Right? So it reduces photo damage, mottled hyperpigmentation, skin spots and lesions, improve overall skin appearance, stimulate wound healing, and protects our skin cells from ultraviolet radiation. So what else does GHK-Cu or copper peptide can do for you? It produces anti-aging effects at the cellular level. It's not only age reversal of your cells, it's also anti-aging, means it slows down the aging of your cells. It reduces pain, it reduces anxiety, it repairs DNA damage, it promotes DNA repair, it promotes organ regeneration, suppresses the production of fibrinogen, and therefore reduces the tendency of blood clots. You know, when we have blood clots in our circulation, we can have heart attacks, we can have strokes, right? We can have deep vein thrombosis. So this one helps to reduce the tendency. It improves blood flow in our tissues, reduce inflammation and free radical damage to our skin and our cells. It reduces that. It increases also hair growth in some people and also thickness, and it enlarges the hair follicle size for hair growth in some people, not every single person. Next. So different approaches to light therapy. If you look at the lady there, she's undergoing aesthetic treatment. They use light, right? If you look at the baby probably has jaundice. And what do? In the hospital, we shine blue light to break down the bilirubin, because that's what's causing jaundice in the baby, the high bilirubin. It needs to be broken down. Otherwise, the brain of the baby is going to get affected. So when the baby is sent home, what do? They tell the mother or the parents, please expose your baby to morning sun, right? For maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes every day until the jaundice clears. And that's because of light, right? So LifeWave takes a new approach to phototherapy. It increases the production of GHK-Cu in our body. Next. So David Smith, as you know, in 2018, he created the best invention to date, LifeWave X39. 2018 was just before COVID, right? COVID is end of 2019, and then 2020, everyone's locked down in the world. Next. These are the clinical studies that has been done. Because when I talk to doctors, they tend to be skeptical, like me previously, and I need to show them clinical studies. That's the evidence. That's why they always say, show me the evidence, show me the evidence, show me the evidence, right? So more than 20 years of development, over 80 clinical trials, and more than 200 patents. So there's no competition in the world, right? These are by independent researchers and universities, right? Why independent? Is because I come from a pharmaceutical company, and anything done by your own company, people tend to not believe. But if it's done by an independent third party, it's it's objective, and people can believe more. Next. This is a double-blind study, right? Double-blind randomized studies is the gold standard for clinical trials and clinical studies. So X39 has been shown in this double-blind study to increase our body's own copper peptide, GHK-Cu peptide, right? Copper. So this study showed a significant increase in GHK-Cu concentration in our blood as a result of wearing X39 for a week in individuals between 40 to 80 years old. So what was found was that in as little as 6 months, telomeres lengthened to the equivalent of 8.5 years of age reversal. So basically, we can reverse our cell age by about 8.5 years, right? And this is about 86% of people in the research, right? So at 3 months, no change was observed in the blood. But at 6 months, you will see that telomeres lengthen at 6 months. That's me before patching, and that's me after patching. I think that's about 6 to 9 months after patching. That's what people keep telling me. Hey, what did you do? And then I'm more confident after 6 to 9 months to tell them, yes, I used X39. A new approach to health. X39 improves energy flow. It supports overall health. It supports improved exercise performance. It supports improvement in strength and stamina with no drugs and no stimulants. And it is over 200 patents that David Smith has. So one X39 patch on the body using one of the locations for 12 hours. Right. So proven in becoming younger a year on the top left, after 4 months in the middle, and after 9 weeks, after 3 years, after 3 months, and after a week, depending on your skin structure and depending on your body, some people respond faster, some people respond slower, but there is a response, definitely. Wound healing, important because we all wound sometimes in our life. So it shows top left hand 13 months after the operation and wound, 7 weeks after an accident, and a swollen legs 10 hours and with X39 on both sides of the feet for this particular patient. 9 days, top bottom left. This is remarkable because maybe his body is responding to X39 very, very well. And you see within 9 days, 20 days, and 2 hours. 2 hours, you're looking at the fine lines. Hair growth. As all of you know, hair growth or hair is genetic. For people with genetically, tend not to have much hair, then you tend to have not much hair, even with patching, right? So denser, darker hair after using X39 and X49 also helps. It's still in clinical trial stage now in terms of X49 for hair growth. Where do we go from here? Well, what can we do to improve the quality of our life and to prime our body for the best health and to age reverse? Besides patching, we need to make sure that we have a balanced and nutritious diet, to sleep at least 7 hours, not 6, not 8, at least 7 hours, because clinical trials have shown in 500,000 recent findings, 500,000 individuals that the optimum hours of sleep is 7 hours. 6 hours too short, 8 hours too much for normal conditions. Yeah. So you supplement when necessary. Resistance training is needed. Drink a lot of water, hydrate yourself, and avoid things that degrade our health, like alcohol, smoking, and drugs. Stress, sometimes we can't help it because we have our own work, business, and of course, there's always stress. So that's all I have for live long, live well, and live younger. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tim. That's amazing. To hear it from you is what makes you change your mind after reading something, or what happened?
Right, because I've always been looking into regenerative medicine, and that's the new trend now, since Professor Yamanaka in 2012 won the Nobel Prize for stem cell. So besides, Japan is very far advanced in stem cell research. Yeah,
very much so. Yeah,
very much so, and the Japanese government actually pushes this area. And now they're looking at stem cells for the heart, right? To grow the heart muscles. Previously, we were told that, when you have a heart attack, that part of your heart dies and that's it. But now people are looking at, stem cells to regrow heart muscles. Yeah. So this is a very interesting and exciting area to be in. And what is the most accessible way and affordable way to achieve similar stem cell healing and regeneration? So that's why I was interested, because a lot of my patients that I see, I still see patients now in the clinics. A lot of my patients, they are looking for, those who are looking for alternatives, then I would say, okay, let's combine Western and alternative approaches, right? But make sure that, if you have a medical condition, it has to be taken care by a medical doctor, and to make sure that it's being properly treated, and then you can bring in the combination complementary treatment. So stem cell that increases GHK, or patches that increases the GHK peptide copper, that will activate our stem cells within our own body. It is affordable, it is accessible, and I can help more people. That's where I'm coming from in terms of getting this going, because it helps mankind, and a lot of people can afford X9 Aeon to be used on a daily basis.
Was there a particular clinical study that you saw that really gave you the aha moment?
Okay, that's the one that I showed you, double blind. Double blind meaning the doctor doesn't know what patch is being used for the patient, and the patient also doesn't know what patch is being used on he or her himself. One is a placebo, so it has to look exactly the same, and the other one is the active, which is the real one. So in a double-blind randomized study, that's the gold standard. So anecdotal write-ups, usually doctors will kind of like, okay, this is one person, even 5 people with the same anecdotal testimonial, it's not so strong. But if it's double-blind study, that's something that will sit up. But whether they will spend the time reading or not is another thing, because I send it to doctors, right? From a doctor to another doctor, I sent it, and then they may just not prioritize it, and they will not read it. It's kind of like, thank you very much, I received it, and then they just put it aside and just go about doing the other stuff. Usually doctors are like that, unless you connect with them, communicate with them, and try to make them at least read through that particular study. You send them too many, it's even worse, because they will not read it.
But thank you so much again, Dr. Tim. God bless you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.